Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new IDontWorkHereLady stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first story is titled, Slightly Different but Still Fits I Think. I work as a civilian officer for a state police department in Texas. Think UK community support officers. I'm unarmed, no badge, white uniform. Just a shoulder patch that says public safety, a duty belt with cuffs, radio and a flashlight. My wife is a dispatcher for our department and we got off at the same time in the morning and went to get breakfast at a local diner. While we were waiting in line to pay after eating, a man ran inside screaming, "Man, officer! Officer!" Runs and grabs my arm. "Please follow me." Me, "Whoa, sorry, I'm not a police officer." "What's wrong?" "I will call one for you." Man, no, you are police, please come help." Me, "I am not, see? Point to equipment, no badge, no gun. Now calm down and tell me what's wrong." Man, "This guy. There. Points out the window, he just stole something out of my car." Me, "Okay, I will call for police." At this point he runs outside and yelling at the guy, I call local PD and give them all the information and descriptions, directions etc. They eventually caught up to him and he was distraught that the police officer in the restaurant wouldn't help, so the officers came to speak to me supposedly thinking I was a police impersonator. We have a small problem with that here recently. And when they saw me they laughed and thanked me and let me go. Found out later that something stolen from his car that he wanted police help with was illegal narcotics. Both subjects arrested. The next story is titled, In Which I Was the Perpetrator. I had to go into the city an hour away from my current residence to drop off the hubs at the airport. In this particular city there are two big box stores that used to be known by their yellow smiley face. The fancier one is closer to the airport and the not so fancy nearer to me. I decided to check out the fancy one for kicks and giggles. I go into the movie section to see if they have anything I want for my collection. In the section I'm in I see an employee stocking the magazines which happen to be across from the movies I'm perusing. Upon perusal I find Gasp Season 1 and 2 of Hogan's Heroes. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. I excitedly grab it and look at the employee and exclaim, "You guys have Hogan's Heroes." He vacantly looks at me and that is when I realize that he has the name tag which denotes him as a vendor. I apologize and tell him I'm sorry I confused him for an employee. Then I exclaimed, "But look! They have Hogan's Heroes. How exciting!" We shared a smile and talked about Bob Crane's shady demise. He was murdered in the apartment where he held his infamous orgies. Many speculate it was a mob hit, and went about our respective business. I felt bad that I was the perpetrator of IDWHL, but I'm glad it all ended smoothly. And yes, I did go home and binge watch Hogan's Heroes since I had 2 glorious days off from work. The next story is titled, Wearing a Completely Different Uniform. I work at Best Buy. One night after work I needed to grab some quick items from Walgreens. I called a friend while searching the aisles, and grabbed the stuff I needed. A few minutes later, I walked up to the front to ring out. With arms full of stuff, clearly talking on my phone, dressed in my Best Buy uniform, I hopped in line with the rest of the customers. An exceptionally rude lady in front of me was getting extremely impatient, even though the line was moving quickly and we hadn't been in line for more than 2 minutes. She jerked her head around, and in the snootiest tone possible said, "Can you just get behind the register and ring me out already? I have places I need to be." I looked at the Best Buy logo on my shirt, looked up at her, back at my shirt, back at her, and she said, "Well? Get to it." I scoffed and said, "I work at Best Buy, and I'm shopping just like you." I figured that was apparent with my wardrobe and arms full of crap. She instantly turned bright red, turned around, and patiently waited the extra minute and a half it took to get wrung out. Never heard another word from her, and I kinda hope she stopped being an asshat to workers she encounters. My friend and I got a good laugh out of it. The next story is titled, Mr. The General Doesn't Work Here. Perhaps some folks might be amused by this 19th century "I don't work here" incident that I came across yesterday while doing research on another topic. Lewis Cass was one of the biggest big shots in the history of Michigan. Beginning his career as a soldier and explorer, he rose to the rank of brigadier general, then shifted to politics and was elected territorial governor. Moving to the national stage, he served as U.S. Senator, Secretary of War, Secretary of State, and Ambassador to France. 2 lakes, 1 river, 8 counties, and more than 30 cities and towns across the United States are named for him. Even so, his fame did not protect him from a familiar sort of encounter. Hotel owner John Guy bore a striking resemblance to General Lewis Cass, and while he was proprietor of the National Hotel in Washington, the Michigan senator was among his favorite guests. One day a Western friend of the house came in after a long ride, dusty and tired, and walking up to the office, encountered General Cass, who was quietly standing there. Mistaking him for Guy, he slapped him on the shoulder and exclaimed, "Well, old fellow, here I am. The last time I hung my hat up in your shanty one of your clerks sent me to the 4th story, but now that I have got hold of you, I insist upon a lower room." The general, a most dignified personage, taken aback by this startling salute, coldly replied, "You have committed a mistake, sir. I am not Mr. Guy. I am General Cass, of Michigan," and angrily turned away. The Western man was shocked at the unconscious outrage he had committed, but before he had recovered from his mortification, General Cass, who had passed around the office, confronted him again. Mistaking him a second time for Guy, the Westerner faced him and said, "Here you are at last. I've just made a devil of a mistake. I met old Cass and took him for you, and I'm afraid the Michigander has gone off mad." What General Cass would have said may well be imagined, if the real Guy had not approached and rescued the innocent offender from the twice assailed and twice angered statesman. Bayfield, Wis. County Press, September 9, 1871. Personally, it sounds to me like someone needed to get the stick out of his ass. Lighten up, General. The next story is titled, "For the 5th time, do you see a bright orange apron?" This happened about half a year ago. I was sent on a run to Home Depot for some specific flowers and, after walking the aisles and not seeing it, I decided to wait around for some help. So I'm standing there in jeans and a t-shirt when an elderly lady comes up and starts asking me which fertilizer she should get. Let me just say that I am not a gardener. The only plant I've kept alive is a sad cactus. I couldn't help her if I wanted to. I politely informed her I didn't work there and walked back toward the front where the only employee around was ringing up some other customer. As I do so, a second person comes up to me and asks if I work there. "Nope, sorry," I reply and pull out my phone. Then another. "Excuse me, ma'am, but can you help me find?" I gesture to my apron less clothes and say I don't work here. I'm waiting for help too. I go to give my boss a ring, he sent me for the flowers, and let him know I haven't found them but I'm waiting to ask an employee. As I'm talking into the phone I see a lady slowly making her way over to me. I know what's about to happen. She starts talking and I move the phone down a bit. "Can I ask you a question?" "Sure, but I don't work here." "Oh. Ha ha. Well then I don't have a question." She touches my arm and walks away. Geez. I double-check my clothes and wonder if I just have the dead soul of a retail employee. Maybe I'm in the twilight zone. My boss tells me to just head back. As I'm headed toward the doors, a guy talking on the phone walks in front of me. "Hold on a sec," I hear him say and turn to me. "Do you No. The next story is titled, "No, I don't work here, but neither should you." Anyone who has ever shopped at Home Depot knows how hard it can be to find an employee to help you. If you do find one, that doesn't always mean they will know what they are talking about. I'm always at Home Depot picking up odds and ends that I've forgotten to order from the supply house for my job. I cannot believe the number of times I've overheard employees giving a customer wrong, and sometimes dangerous, information. For example, customer wants help hooking up his new hot tub. Orange-aproned idiot is explaining to customer how he just needs this standard, non-fused disconnect meant for air conditioners and some of that yellow wire. At this point, I had to step in. Me, "Sir, do you know what amperage your tub is rated at?" Customer shuffles the papers he was smart enough to bring with him. This says 40 amp minimum. 50 amp max. Me, that's what I thought. If you use that yellow wire, the best you can hope for is that you'll constantly be tripping the circuit. At worst, you could burn down the house. I then direct him to the correct size wire and fuse disconnect, and ask him if he has a permit for the electrical work. That's when Orange Apron, who has been following us and muttering, finally finds his voice. He doesn't need a permit. As a homeowner he can do whatever he wants. Me, yeah, no. In this state, even homeowners are required to get permits and inspections by the local authority having jurisdiction. In this case, it's the city of less than home greater than planning department, for all electrical work. Oh yeah? How would you know? Me, looks down at shirt with electrical contractor I work for on it. Yeah, you're right. I've only been doing this for 20 years. What would I know? Turns back to customer. Look, you can listen to him if you want, it's your house and life. He's just trying to scare you into hiring him to do it for you. Me, actually, I don't have the time for side jobs. And besides, I don't have a contractor's license, just a journeyman's. I can't pull permits. Have a nice day. As I'm walking away, the customer puts his items down, and tells OA that he won't be needing them after all. The next day, I get a call from my boss. It seems he received 2 phone calls that day. The first was from a manager at Home Depot, who was complaining that I was poaching jobs in our store. After telling him what happened, he ended up calling them back and asking if it was their policy to endanger lives and property with incompetent advice. The second was from the customer, who now wanted someone from our company to come out and do it right. The next story is titled, I Do Have Ferrets, a Positive Story. I went to a national chain pet store to get some stuff for my cat. I always stop by the ferret enclosure to watch the babies playing. On this day, I happened to be wearing a sweatshirt for a rescue. A customer asked me to open the enclosure so he could hold one. I smiled. I don't work here. He apologized. He was a first-time ferret owner. We talked about ferret care and I told some funny stories. I also told him about the difficulties. An employee came over and both of us played with the babies. He decided to wait and do some more research before getting one. I gave him the rescue email and website. The website has information and links about ferret health and proper care. It also links to Pet Finder where our ferrets are listed. He thanked me and picked up a copy of Ferrets for Dummies. He thanked the manager for having a rescue on site. He told him that we should bring ferrets in from the rescue. Lol. I don't work there, but obviously I volunteer there. The next story is titled, You're About 5 Minutes Too Late. So up until recently, I worked at a big box store as a pharmacy tech. Before that, I'd worked in various departments on the sales floor, but nothing really stuck until I joined the pharmacy. I'm really into video games and sometimes after work I'd go by electronics, where I used to work, and check out the new releases. I'd just punched out of my last shift with the company and I was checking out various electronics, hoping to maybe get one last use out of my employee discount before it was terminated. As I'm looking at gaming keyboards, I hear a guy whistle. Thinking that's a little out of the ordinary, I look up to see what's going on. He doesn't say a word to me, just points in the direction of the glass case where the video games are kept. Normally, I would have no problem finding someone with the keys and letting them know there's a customer looking for a game, but not this guy. I mean, apparently, I'm not even worth verbally asking for help. Seeing my opportunity, I look dead at the guy, who looks a little annoyed because there's no game in his hand, and tell him, with what I assume must have been a crap-eating grin on my face, I don't work here. After that, I just walked away and drove home. It was technically true. I'd punched out of my last shift a few minutes ago. The look of anger on his face, and the knowledge that he probably spent some of his own time searching for my manager, was the absolute proudest moment of my retail career. The next story is titled, I Just Kept Walking. I was on break from work, uniform is jeans, sneakers, and a green shirt with our brand in huge letters. I was wearing a black cardigan, open, so you could see the green shirt and part of the lettering. I walked down a few stores in the strip mall I work at to visit Dollar Tree, everything is $1 store whose employees also wear green shirts, but have aprons, to grab water and a snack. As I make my way to the back, a very tall older woman that made me think bird kind of cut me off at the end of an aisle. Being a polite person, I stopped so she could pass across. She started to cross, then made a quick U-turn looking around in confusion. I started to walk around her, when she asked, "Where's the ashablab?" I'm sure she said something else, but I had no idea what the item was, plus she was a bit rude, so I never made eye contact, and just kept walking. As a subscriber here, I was expecting an explosion of rage to hit me from behind with each step. Nothing. I made it to the back to get water, and was on alert to be assaulted or have her come back with a manager or something. Either I was too quick and someone else got blamed, or she realized her mistake. I was kind of hoping for a batcrap crazy response to test my wits against her. Oh well. The next story is titled, "Yeah, I'm actually a meat surgeon in the meat department." I stopped at a grocery store on my way to work the other day to grab lunch. A woman, who wasn't particularly old or crazy looking, asked me if I could help her find a kind of juice. I gave her a bewildered look because I was in teal medical scrubs. Sensing my confusion, the woman took a step back and asked if I worked at the store. Again, I wasn't even sure how to respond because I was so confused by her lack of awareness. Finally I managed to say, "No, I don't, I'm sorry," to which she asked, "Well, do you know anyone who does?" I said no, and walked off questioning my reality. The next story is titled, "Just because I'm Asian in a dim sum restaurant doesn't mean I work here, lady." So I was meeting some friends who were craving soup dumplings at a restaurant in Chinatown when I get a text that they're running late. They were traveling together. I tell the hostess who's standing next to the cash register, pull out my phone, and move out of the way to wait for my friends. To set the stage, I'm standing to the right of the entryway, which is directly across from the hostess who's only approximately 3 feet away from the door, with my phone out. To the left of the door is an old man making soup dumplings in the window. Since it's winter, it would get pretty cold every time someone walked in, so I kept my coat and scarf on while I waited. Something to note, besides the guy who's making soup dumplings in the window of the restaurant, everyone who works at the restaurant is wearing black slacks, a white shirt, and a black vest. So while I wait, a young woman walks in, turns around, and stops right in front of me. I look up from my phone and she says, "There's an issue with my order." A little confused, I look over her shoulder to check if the hostess is still there. She was. I look back to the woman and tell her, "I don't work here." She turns back around to face the hostess and everything gets sorted. The next story is titled, "I hadn't even finished my paperwork to be employed yet." This story happened around 4 or 5 years ago. I had applied to well-known office supply retailer to work as their main tech support person on site for walk-in clients. I had given my resume and the store manager asked me to come in to fill in some additional paperwork, but to dress up in a polo and khakis as I wasn't officially on payroll yet, but still needed additional training, paperwork completed. So technically, I hadn't started my first day of work yet when this happened. Yay loopholes. The only computer they had for paperwork training was sat in the middle of the desk department on the sales floor. So I was sitting there filling out paperwork, writing on sheets of paper, and typing on the PC as necessary. Of course, I would be interrupted from customers needing assistance from time to time. I got someone to help them every time and they went on their way. However, this one lady I will never forget. She asked me for assistance like all others did. I explained I'd gladly get someone to assist her. She seemed totally fine with it. One of the nicer managers came and helped her with everything she needed within a minute of me asking him. She was fully taken care of without any hassle at all. But, before she walked out, she felt the need to speak with me. It went something like this. Me, as I see her walk towards me, "Did you find everything okay?" Lady, "Yes. But next time someone asks you for help, you should stop worrying about paperwork and help them." Me with a crap-eating retail grin, "Thank you so much for the feedback. I greatly appreciate it." Lady, "You're welcome." Storms out. After this I kind of just sat there in disbelief that someone was so out of tune with the world. Then I remembered that I was getting back into customer service and realized I'd seen much worse. The next story is titled, "Light Bulbs?" I tend to listen to music on the rare chance I get to shop alone. My wireless earbuds were dead on this particular day, so I had regular white iPhone earbuds in. I'm walking through the clearance section and rocking out. I start to pass an older woman in a clearance aisle. As we reach each other, she reaches up and tugs on the fur of my earbuds, pulling one side out of my ear. "Do you know where the light bulbs are?" I'm wearing jeans, a shirt with small skulls, and a black hoodie. Not blue shirt and khakis as the uniform of this place is. I picked up my hanging earbud and slowly placed it back as I shrugged at her. Then walked away. Into the next aisle to grab light bulbs. Because she reminded me that I needed them as well. The next story is titled, "Well, you shouldn't wear red in here." I made the mistake of going to a big box superstore on a Saturday morning. I hate shopping for grocery items, or anything else, there, but I was already there for something else and didn't have time to stop at the grocery store for what I needed. So there I am in the condiment aisle, reading a label on Worcestershire sauce, can't have the ones that contain anchovies, and I hear a lady ask, "Where is the cocktail sauce?" She's maybe half an aisle's length away and there are other people around and in between us. I replace the bottle I was reading and grab another, when I hear her again, now much more insistent. "Excuse me, I'm looking for the cocktail sauce." I look up because she sounds annoyed and I think maybe things are about to get interesting. That's when I see that she's looking at me. Me, in my coat with my basket and purse on one arm, Worcestershire sauce in the other hand. Me, not the lady shopping next to her or the lady behind her, both much closer and in a better position to offer assistance if they felt so inclined. She wants me to help her? Me, I'm sorry? Still confused as to why I've been singled out. "Saucy lady, cocktail sauce. I can't find it. Can you help me?" Me, still confused because I'm apparently slow on the uptake. It's not over here." The saucy lady cocks her head and squints her eyes, obviously displeased that I'm probably selfishly hiding the cocktail sauce from her or unwilling to locate it. Just as she's about to, I'm assuming, shake her fist at me and tear me a new one, an amused onlooker speaks up. "I don't think she works here, oh." Sudden realization hits me. Me, now firing on all cylinders, "Nope, I sure don't. Sorry. But I bet it's over by the seafood department if they have it." Saucy lady, clearly embarrassed but good-natured, "Well, you shouldn't wear red in here." I didn't have the heart to tell her that the employees there wear blue. Or that the only red on me was my hair. I still have no idea what made her think I was an employee. People are weird. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comment.